Well, hello there. This is going to be a different kind of video compared to what I've done recently. However, I do think that you'll enjoy the topic I'm about to cover, much like the story of Pachinko's death metal. This is going to be a story of a journey, one of a piece of extremely obscure media, one that led me down a rabbit hole that I didn't know would ever happen in my entire life. This is the story of how I ended up uncovering the history behind the elusive 1992 EP Dr. Krollspell 2. All stories have to have a beginning, right? For that, we have to go back to December of 2019. Remember that time? Before happened? Yeah, anyhow, I was visiting the city of Norrköping. A rather large yet quaint city that used to be a place of major industries, mostly textile. But that's in past. On this day, however, I went to a little music shop called Vaxkupan. Why did I go in there? Well, in short, I'm a music nerd. I collect all kinds of vinyl records, mostly from different countries, weird shite, or just some obscure and rare stuff. So, I look around the store, flipping through any records that I may want to get. I stand there, right next to someone flipping through as well. I stand there, occasionally looking around the cool decorations on the walls. Well, sadly, I didn't get anything. I just didn't find anything interesting. That was until I saw something right out of the corner of my eye. A little pile of cassette tapes, around 5 or 6. Since I also collect those, I thought, hey, might as well take a look. I didn't really have to though, because right in front of all the other tapes stood one that really caught my eye, with an all-white cover featuring a simplistic drawing of a naked dancer with no feet standing on a puzzle piece. Intrigued, I decided to take a closer look at it. I mean, you gotta take a gander at the tape itself to see if there's any info on it, on the net, on the interwebs, the World Wide Web. There was absolutely zero. Nothing, nada, not a single speck of it was online. That just made me more intrigued. I opened the case to see if there was any kind of info on the tape. Well, no, because I was very surprised to see that it was blank. Like, the actual physical tape itself had nothing on it. Talk about minimalism. Never in my life have I seen a cassette like this. I, of course, bought it immediately. Though, how much did I have to pay to inadvertently start the wildest journey I would ever experience in my life? 50 kronor. When I finally got back home, I put it into my player and pressed play. Okay. Wow, okay. Now this is some good stuff. What a damn shame no one else could listen to it. I can change that. This is when I decided to upload it here on my channel, but that wasn't enough for me. Oh no. I felt like I wanted more eyes to watch this. How else am I going to do it than on Reddit? I first posted it over at Vintage Obscura, self-described as the dustiest place on earth. A place where you can share obscure, rare, and most importantly, old music. The second place I posted it was on Obscure Media, which, yeah, I think you get what the point of that place is. In both of them, I got a very positive response. People were genuinely interested and curious about this tape, as much as I was. They wanted to know more about it. But we really couldn't do anything about that because, well, any more info on it was basically non-existent. Well, we did what we could. The least thing I can do is create a Discogs page for it. Discogs being the database for music releases and all versions of them. Like, do you want to know the info on all the 904 versions of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here? Here you go. Oh yeah, I actually haven't gone through and talked about the music itself. Let's see the track list. We've got 410 by Johan Heiner, Puzzle and Shy Feet, both by Thomas Olsson, and lastly Naked Ballerina by Richard Robertson. Oh hey, it's a rebus. Now, before I go and give a little review of the EP, I need to list the names here, because some of them will be important later. It says, Dr. Krollspell is Thomas Olsson, guitar, Richard Robertson, bass, Johan Heiner, synthesizer, and Kjell Nilsson, drums. Guest musicians were Magnus Johansson, saxophone, and Anders Larsson, trumpet. Cover by Magnus Robertson, recorded by Svante Stenberg and DRK at Studiolokalen, December 1992. Now, I'm not a professional musician or anything, so I really don't know all the technical workings of music and song structure, but I'll do my best at describing and explaining the things I like about the tracks in this EP. The first thing I noticed when I played it was the sheer amount of quality. This wasn't recorded in some guy's basement with a cheap 4-track recorder. This was professionally made in a proper studio. As previously mentioned, the instruments don't clash with each other or blend together in a mushy, muddy, unlistenable mess. Which means you can hear and really appreciate the damn impressive work that has gone into it. Not only the compositions of the track, but the artist's ability and skill to absolutely jam their heart and soul out. Like here, listen closely. Really listen closely to how intricate the guitar and drums are playing here. I mean, that's some talent right there. Again, to put so much effort into making something sound this good really goes to show that these fellows were seriously dedicated in trying to have their work, talent and skill recognized by making such rock good stuff. Too bad all that talent and energy went to waste. Things didn't seem to turn out that well for them in terms of getting recognition. Well, what can you do? So, after a bit of fiddling, I made a Discogs page for the cassette. Oh yeah, I should tell you what you need to do when creating one. Most of it is the obvious stuff. The name of the group, where and when it came from, the track list, and lastly, the most important part, at least for the purposes of this video, the artists' names. Now, when it comes to that, if there's someone you want to add that has the same name as a different person, which as you can imagine happens pretty often, Discogs gives us the solution to just add a sequential number after it. Like here for example, there are at least 17 Jeff Smiths out there, but Jeff Smith number 17 specifically was the one that was the assistant designer for Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. That's the second time I mentioned it here. I like them, okay? Well, that's that. I made a page for it, and there's nothing else really to do. Both me and Reddit tried our best in finding any kind of info of the band. We tried. It was at this point I just had to leave this page amongst all the millions of releases that are also catalogued on this site. Sometime later, maybe a few weeks or so, I received a message saying that one of my added releases had undergone some changes. I wonder what that could be. As the guitarist of the band, I changed Thomas Olsson number 9 to Thomas Olsson number 5, because that is in fact me. Yeah, that's quite the bombshell. Wow, talk about a 1 in a million of chance. Like, I'm just amazed that a member of a band, after 31 years, still remembers quite a bit about the cassette and the story of the band itself. I know that, because he was very kind and eager to answer any questions I had. This is Thomas Olsson. I formed the group together with bassist Richard Robinson and drummer Henrik Wenström in the latter part of the 80s. We were all in different places in Laholm municipality. Before that, Richard and I played together in a hard rock trio called Iron Fist, a trio that played Black Sabbath and Motorhead covers. Dr. Krollspell started out as a blues rock band, playing mostly covers of ZZ Top, Johnny Winter and the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, plus a few of their own songs. So, completely different music. Therefore, we needed a different name, and took the name of the group, Dr. Krollspell and the Rastapopoulos Brothers, from Tintin, more specifically the series Flight 714 to Sydney. We were a quartet at the time, where Richard played rhythm guitar and sang, but at the end of the 80s he switched to playing bass again. And then we recorded our first cassette with the help of our good friend Gerrit Inge Gustafsson, guitarist of the band Steelwings. He had 4 things that we benefited from. 1. We shared a rehearsal space with Steelwings and knew them well. 2. He was patient. 3. He was kind. And 4. He had a 4-track Porter studio. We had already recorded 3 cover songs with another drummer, but we never released them. Now, however, we felt ready to release music that we had written ourselves and recorded 3 songs at Youth Center in Veininge that we were allowed to borrow as a rehearsal space during the weekends. At this point, We were playing a wide array of music, depending on the fact that all three in the group had different favorite music genres. But there was enough common ground that we could get along, and we were also relatively open musically to different stuff. I myself had started listening to prog and jazz rock at the same time as I diligently read the American magazine Guitar Player to find out what was happening in the guitar world and to get tips on exercises and playing style. We played live in our local area, went to the Hallandsfinal in music quite quickly and continued to write our own music. During the early 90s, we changed drummers and a keyboardist joined. It was as a quartet that we entered Medborgarskolans studio in Laholm and recorded our second cassette, which is the one you came across. The brass players came in because we really wanted real brass on the song 410, not just synthetic MIDI brass. It was our new drummer, Kjell, who knew them. Also, I can say that Kjell and I, and one of the brass players on the cassette, Magnus, had played in a fusion band called Percussion Power together. Anyhow, we recorded it in 1992 and released it in early 93. But before everything was finished, I was on my way to London to work there indefinitely. It turned out only to be a year, and we had finished the recordings remotely. I did a guitar overdub in a studio in London, and the brass arrangement was recorded without me being there. Before I left, we made a video for 410, recorded in and around Laholm. I have a copy of it somewhere in my attic. We played together for another brief period of time, but only sporadically, because I had moved from London to Malmö to study musicology in Lund. The others remained in Laholm, so we split for geographical reasons. There have been a couple of semi-reunions, but never a full reunion. I am in extremely sporadic contact with Kjell, who is a music teacher in Kävlinge, via Facebook. I see posts by Johan Heiner on Facebook there as well, but I haven't met him in many years. I met Richard a few years ago, like maybe 5 or 10 or so, but we lost contact. Too bad, because we started playing together when we were in the 8th grade and it would have been fun to see each other again sometime. I, myself, am currently a full-time musicologist at Lund University and have been working for many years in my spare time as an administrative producer for the prog group Ilseru Spain. I don't get to play as much as I'd like, but I am a remote member of the Portuguese group Demu. I play on a couple of the group's records, and we are currently recording material for an upcoming production. Glad you found the music. Thanks for your dedication. Best regards, Thomas. Wow. I gotta say, I was so goddamn happy when I read all of this. I went from having absolutely zero clue on what the history of the cassette and the members was, to having so much of it. Like the fact that they started out as a group of friends playing the songs of the artists that they love, or the fact that there's a music video of one of the songs. Some more lost media, huh? But that's not the end of it. That message that Thomas sent, I received back in early 2020, shortly after I made the Discogs page. However, as of just a few months ago, when I was writing this script, I contacted Thomas and another member of the band, Richard Robertson, now Robbie Grønlige. You may ask yourself, why now, and not when I first talked with Thomas? Well, that was mostly because of me being busy with work and a lot of personal stuff. Although, it's also because there's some interesting new info. What is it? You'll see. Right, I'd like to show you all what Robbie brought up regarding the history of Dr. Krollspell. I got in touch with him at the same time as I did with Thomas, and like with him, this guy has been very much cooperative and happy with helping me out for this video. Like, for example, he showed me something that really hadn't crossed my mind, but in hindsight was kinda obvious. Dr. Krollspell. The first one! The first one! Yeah! 2 years before their second EP, they made a 3-track cassette, which, looking at the members list, there's Gert Inge Gustafsson from Steelwings. My god. even more lost media. What's not lost media, however, is this picture of the two band members posing for a local magazine from the 80s, with Thomas Olsson on the right and Robbie Grønlige on the left. Look at them! They got style! Thomas is even wearing a Motorhead shirt, which must have been from their Iron Fist days. Now, Robbie also provided me with some extra info regarding the history of the band. Dr. Krollspell shared a rehearsal space and were very close friends with another band called Steelwings. We were roadies for them at live performances and vice versa, as well as sharing their sound and lighting rig with them. They, Steelwings, released an LP in 1989 with the same title. Me and Thomas are mentioned on their album cover. Our first performance was in the fall of 1982, I think, around the time the picture was taken for the local music magazine. We burned the final stages of the PA system already at the soundcheck of our debut, so there will be a lot of volume in the beginning, as in sound. At this time we call ourselves Iron Fist and we're a hard rock trio. Thomas and I have been playing together since the beginning of 1980 with a bunch of people through the years. Dr. Krollspell too, as we call ourselves in 1995, did not break up the band, but there was simply too little time left when work and life came first, so the project was put on hold. The last official appearance was in the summer of 1995. I had a son in September of that year, for example. However, we met and did a few cover gigs over the years, sometimes with members from Steelwings. Me and Johan Heiner were playing in the Laholms Nyårsrevy Orchestra for a few years in the late 90s, and after that I only played as a hobby musician. Thomas works full-time with music and is active in other bands as well, such as Moon from Portugal. Me and Thomas have since the late 90s had very sporadic contact. But that has nothing on what I'm about to talk next, which is also one of the main reasons I made this video. The doctor is back, baby. After some 30-ish years, in 2021, these beautiful folks decided to reunite, and as they have said, reviving the Doctor, and are in the process of recording a third one, making it a trilogy. And in some small part, I helped them with that, with them mentioning that I uploaded their EP to YouTube back then, and, well, reviving it back for complete obscurity. Though, of course, there are more reasons why they decided to reunite. Here's what Thomas said. In short, it went like this. My bass brother contacted me with a question, as we hadn't heard from each other for many years. The question was, next year, in 2023, it'll be 30 years since our second cassette came out. Shouldn't we try and make a volume 3 together? My answer was that I thought it was genuinely worth a try. It turned out that it was worth the effort. At least we who are involved think so. The recording began last spring and has continued since then. At the moment we are almost finished recording. There are only a small number of things to be added. After that, only mixing and mastering remain. Robbie has some demos at his place. I have some demos at mine. Then we've recorded the music at both of them. The Doctor today is just Robbie and I. With the willing assistance of a guest musician, it has been fun working with him again. We've played together on and off since we were 14 years old, so there's no warm-up needed. We were able to get off with a flying start. Robbie also provided more context on how and why they decided to get back. After I moved back home to Laholm, which, remember, was the place where the band started, in 2018, after some time in Denmark, I discovered that Steelwings had reunited and released a new album, Back, 2019. I contacted Thomas to see if he knew about this. It was the summer of 2021 that I called him, and then we started talking about how maybe it was time for the Doctor to be revived as well. So, thanks to Steelwings, we have been writing and recording some new material for the past year. Steelwings has also managed to release a sequel to the comeback, Still Rising 2022. Today, Dr. Krollspell 3 is just Thomas on guitar and me on bass. We play all of the other instruments ourselves, except the brass instruments, which a new guy in the project helped us with. His name is Anders Nilsson. We play now for the joy of the music and the creation of something else. Something different. One song after another in the album shall not feel like the same one. It doesn't feel at all like it's been 30 years since last time. Well, except for cover gigs. But we picked up where we left off, you could say, after a really long coffee break. So yeah, that's basically it. At least as of me writing this script. I'm sure there'll be several more updates in the near future. And if they come, I'll share them with y'all. If I get permission from the band, of course. In fact, they were very kind enough to share various newspaper clippings about them. From 1989 to 1991, these pieces from the local paper Hallandsposten range from talking about how the band is going to play at various spaces and music festivals, being involved in some mini tours, and even taking a part in a competition. Like, here's a quote from an article about how the band is going to the finals for the Rock DM Pop and Rock competition in 1989. We are actually against playing music competitively. In our eyes, this event is a moment for us to play in front of an audience. It's tough finding gigs. Oh hey, in the last paragraph, it says that the two bands who played in this got a gift card worth 500 kronor, or adjusting for inflation, which is pretty nice. Of course, these clippings also provide us with a whole bunch of new pictures of the band and its members, never before seen on the internet until now. And 30 years later, here they are again. Yes, in the same newspaper on the 21st of September 2023, in an article called "The Rock Band That Reunited After 30 Years by a Complete Chance." The beginning of it talks about what the band was and what happened to them during the 90s, the two tapes they released, how they broke up, the stuff we previously talked about. The next section, though, goes on about how during the Robbie, while surfing the web, found my upload of the cassette and then immediately got in contact with Thomas. The funny thing was that my son found the upload a few days before you contacted me. There weren't a lot of units we pressed during the time. I think we did like 100 at a time, so maybe there's about 200 cassettes around. So that's pretty astonishing. How that tape ended up there, I have no idea. And yeah, exactly. I don't know how it managed to travel to the other side of the country. Well, I have a guess. Someone from Grønlige during the 90s either got the tape at some local music store or at the many events that Dr. Krollspell participated at. Then some years later they moved over to Norrköping and they decided to sell it to the store that I bought it at. Oh, if this tape could speak, what stories would it tell? How does it feel making music for Dr. Krollspell again? To tell the truth, the thought of it is breathtaking, and this whole story feels unreal. When it comes to that, making music, that is, it feels natural, like we took a coffee break since we last stood in that rehearsal space, and we're back at it again. Alright, there's been another update, yet again. I got a message from Robbie saying that there are now 2 additional members who have joined the band, them being Henrik Wenström on drums and Nicolas Pingo Sjö on bass. These 2 were actually original members of the original version of Dr. Krollspell and the Restopopoulos brothers. So, practically, there are now 6 people involved in the project. They actually started to work on volume 4. They're making a quadrilogy. And to add, remember Steelwings? One of the band members, Håkan Magnusson. They have released a biography, a book. Rockdrömmen, boken om Steelwings. You know what, I might actually go and buy this book, because this entire journey, this is just profoundly interesting. Also, volume 1 and 2 are soon going to be released digitally. In fact, if you want to listen to Dr. Krollspell's music, they're all available on all kinds of music streaming services, like pick your poison, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. Dr. Krollspell is on it. To imagine that all this started with me finding a little cassette that caught my eye and uploading to the internet, which then led me into getting contact with the band members and learning so much about their history. And that I am truly grateful for. These folks have been so nice to talk to and have been very, very kind in helping me with all of this. The info, the research, everything. To think that all of these small events, me seeing the tape and buying it, listening to it, deciding to upload it, to a band member correcting the info on the tape's Discogs page, to me getting in contact with them, learning about their history, and lastly that they're back and making music again. For now, that's that. I hope you all enjoyed this video and you learned something interesting. And of course, I want to thank Thomas Olsson and Robbie Grønlige for being such awesome people and assisting me with the video. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And please, go and support them. Listen to their music when it comes out. Here's some links to their pages. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.